The ceiling lights passed in a rhythm that didn't care about me. White panel seam, white panel seam. The stretcher rattled like it had loose change inside it. Someone had tucked a blanket up around my shoulders. Too thin to matter, but the gesture counted. I kept my phone pinned to my chest with my thumb, because it felt like the only thing I could hold. When she answered, I didn't ease into it. I knew better than to try for tone. "Mom," I said. "I'm on a stretcher. Emergency surgery. I need you to grab the kids, just tonight, their bags are by the door." There was a pause I recognized. Not surprise. "Evaluation," she sighed. "You've always had a flair for drama." The orderly slowed so a nurse could read a bracelet. I watched her lips move, heard my name pronounced correctly. Which felt like a small mercy. I didn't argue with my mother. I didn't say the words emergency again, as if volume could turn skepticism into comprehension. I said, "Please." Because I still thought asking politely was the lever. Well. My mother said, "I'm in the middle of something. Can this wait?" I thought of my kids' lunches still in the fridge. The one with the note meant to write and forgot. I thought of the math. How many times I'd wired money and called it help. How often I'd swallowed a correction to keep the peace. I said, "I'll figure it out," she said, good relieved, and hung up. In the pre-op bay, they gave me a gown and a bag for my clothes. I folded my jeans the way I always do, as if someone would be judging the crease. The nurse asked me about allergies. Then asked me to repeat them, then smiled like repetition was a kindness. An administrator came by with a tablet, and explained consent in a voice that didn't rise or fall. She pointed to a line where I would authorize what had already been decided by pain and timing. I asked one practical question. "If I need to stop a recurring payment while I'm under," I said, "is that something I can do now?" She didn't blink. "If it's your account," she said, "you can pause it any time." The phrase "your account" landed with an unexpected solidity. I took my phone out. The familiar app opened. There it was. The neat little line item I'd barely looked at in 2 years, $4,000, monthly, labeled family support, because that sounded nicer than rent or insurance. I hadn't meant it to be leverage, I'd meant it to be a bridge. Bridges I was learning get walked on. I toggled the pause. It asked if I was sure. I was. No speech. No vow. Just a change in status. Surgery time is not time. It's a series of discontinuities stitched together by anesthesia and waking. I surfaced to a clock I didn't recognize and a throat that felt scraped. A different nurse told me I did well, which I accepted like a weather report. Someone asked if I had arranged childcare. I said yes, because by then I had quietly, with a neighbor who owed me nothing and asked no questions. In recovery, my phone buzzed. A missed call. Then another. A text card declined at the grocery store. "Call me." I waited. The medication made waiting easy. When I answered, I kept my voice even. "What happened?" my mother asked. No greeting, no "how are you." I paused a payment. I said. There it was, the silence. Different from before. This one had weight. "You can't do that," she said finally. "We depend on that." "I'm in the hospital," I said. "I asked for help. I didn't get it." She pivoted, as she always did, toward history. Toward what I owed. Toward how much she'd done. I listened without interrupting. When she ran out of breath, I said, "This isn't a punishment. It's a pause." "You're being dramatic," she said, reaching for the old hook. "Okay," I said, and meant something different than agreement. "I'll have the bank call you." The call from the bank came the next morning, crisp and unmistakable. A representative confirmed the pause, confirmed it was within my rights, confirmed there was documentation if anyone needed it. The tone was neutral, almost bored, which somehow made it feel official. Authority doesn't always shout. Sometimes it reads from a screen and waits. After that, things change without announcing themselves. The calls came less often. When they did, they were careful. There were apologies that didn't quite touch the ground, explanations that drifted sideways. I didn't argue them into shape. I focused on walking again without wincing, on keeping my kids' routines intact, on meals that didn't come in plastic. The payment stayed paused. Weeks passed, then months. The sky did not fall. I didn't feel victorious. I felt steadier. There's a difference. Victory wants witnesses. Steadiness just wants to hold. My mother and I speak now in a narrower lane. We talk about weather and school schedules. Sometimes she tests the edge of the boundary with a sigh. I let it pass. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you don't leave open unattended. I still send help sometimes. Smaller, direct. Purpose-built. I say no more often and explain less. It turns out dignity doesn't require a speech. It requires maintenance. The ceiling lights have faded back into normal ceilings. The stretcher noise lives somewhere behind me now. Like a lesson I didn't ask for but keep anyway. When I think about that call, "You've always had a flair for drama," it no longer burns. It clarifies, I wasn't dramatic.